What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kara, and this is week 13 of my fiber study. It was originally going to be 13 weeks, but I got some more samples, so we're doing 14 weeks. Bonus week next week. If you're just now joining me on this little adventure, be sure to check out the other weeks and see what I've been up to. I'm gonna jump right in. We're gonna do 3 wool samples and 3 non-wool samples this week. Manx Loaghton, Masham, and Hog Island. And for our non-wools, we're gonna do raccoon, not the trash panda that we all know and love, but the one from Australia, New Zealand, one of those. Lotus and banana. Let's spin. I'm gonna start with Hog Island, but I think these were the type of sheep that George Washington had. I think I'm gonna like it. It's pretty fluffy and soft. Can spin it pretty thin. It's got a little bit more tooth than I prefer, but I don't hate it. Very easy to spin consistently. I like this. It's nice. It's not a love because it's got just a little bit more tooth when drafting than I like, but I would still spin it. It's definitely gonna make a nice yarn. Alrighty. There is Hog Island. That's pretty nice. A little bit rustic. It's firmly in the light category because it wasn't quite the drafting experience I prefer, but I wouldn't be upset if it was the only breed I had access to, you know? Yeah, so that's Hog Island. That's a like. Next up is Masham. I think I liked this one. I decided to pre-prep all the samples that I had left last week. This one gave me a heck of a time because these locks were so long. They weren't as long as the Leicester long wool, but or maybe they are about the same length. I'm not sure, but pretty long. So they were quite the experience to comb out. Yeah, so that's the staple length. Pretty long, but it's nice and soft and fluffy, and I'm probably gonna like it, at least. Pretty easy to spin thin. I don't mind it, but because it's got such a long staple length, it's not as head empty as I prefer. Again, this is just a different style of spinning that I don't have a ton of experience with. Long ones need to be spun a little bit differently than everything else because of their long staple length. Not that it's difficult, it's just different than my default. There's Masham. That was okay. One of the nicer long wools that I've done. It's quite fluffy, like it's got a little bit of a halo. It's nice and soft. I think it's going in the okay pile. You know, I think long wools are just not my thing. They don't really go well with my default spinning that I do enjoy, although I would like to explore them more, just because I like having different tools, different skills in my toolbox, you know? I think out of all the long wools I've done so far, this is like my favorite. I'm going to be jotting that down. Barely any elasticity from those long wools. Our last breed is Manx Loaghton. I think that's how you pronounce it. I remember liking this one. I remember being pleasantly surprised by this one. I think this is also a rare breed. It's got that sponginess, but not like an absurd amount of sponge. Spin it quite thin. It reminds me of the CVM from last week a little bit. A little bit shorter than I like, but it does, you know, it drafts nicely. I think this is going to be an okay for me. I don't think I'm going to reach for this. This is decently easy to spin. Just a little bit shorter than I prefer. Like, there are other breeds that I have put in my like category that I liked better than this. So I would definitely reach for over this. So that's why I'm gonna put this in the okay. There's Manx Loaghton. That's all right. They're pretty elastic, but yeah, very spongy, which I've decided I don't really like. So this is going in the okay pile. It was pleasant to spin, just not quite what I'm looking for. So those are our wool breeds for this week. Onto our non-wools. And I'm going to start with Lotus from the Lotus plant. Flower. It's quite silky. You know, it's definitely like one of those silky plants. Kind of like the mint. I wish I could have gotten my hand on some rose. This feels pretty short. It's not super... It's a little shorter than I'd like, but I can spin it thin. Tension is way too high for this. Pretty easy to spin consistently. A little bit sticky. I'm definitely interested to learn more about all these silkier plant fibers, just because I'd like to know how they hold up as silk alternatives. And I'm really excited because my latest edition of Ply finally showed up, and it's the experimental edition. which is like, I'm literally doing that right now. So I'm hoping this summer I get some, because oh my gosh, I have quite a few plies to read. I have a bunch of books I want to read and study and build classes from. So it's going to be a studious girl summer, and I'd love to get some kind of like umbrella or shade or something for our deck so I can sit out there and do my fiber studying. That's the dream. Maybe I'll get out there and do some of that today. Let's see. I liked that. That is Lotus. Nice and silky, shiny, soft. I like that. I want to learn more about it. That was pleasant to spin. Firm-like. Next up is banana. I don't know what part of the banana plant this is. I'm assuming more of like the stems or the leaves. I don't really know. I need to learn more about it. It's also silkier, but not as nice as the Lotus. Now, even though I'm referring to a lot of these as plant fibers, they aren't technically plant fibers. They more fall under the man-made category simply because of the process that is required to make these. So, like the bast fibers like flax, you literally harvest the plant and the fibers are like a part of the plant. These other ones that are viscose based, so they take the plant, they make it into a pulp, and then they extrude it. That's the word I was looking for last time. And they extrude it into these fibers. That's technically man-made because man needed to make it into this form. I don't know. I personally am still lumping them under the plant fiber because that's where they come from versus an animal, even though that's not technically correct. This one is not as easy to manage hot messes than the Lotus. This one's a little bit longer of a stable length than the Lotus, so it makes up for its less of silkiness in that aspect versus the Lotus. So I still like this. Not quite as shiny and shimmery as some of the other viscosy fibers we've done, but I still like it. Banana. There's banana. Not as silky or as drapey as the Lotus, but I still enjoyed that. Definitely like finished up. Resembles more of flax than silk, I think. It's like stiffer. I liked that. One of the few times you will ever hear me say that I like banana. And lastly is, I want to say this is actually possum. It's really soft, but oh boy. Oh, that is short. That's like impossibly short. What? I'm scared. So yeah, this is the possum from like New Zealand. And how? No, there's no way. There's no way. This is crazy. It's really hard for me to spin it as thin as I want to. This is like not even worth it. This is worse than the bison. Holy shit. I don't even wanna. There's my little strand. It's soft, but that's stupid short. I don't like that. I don't like that. No, not worth it. Not worth it. Just because of how short that is, that would pill like crazy. Oh my word. That's wild. Yeah, so it's the New Zealand brush-tail possum. And this article says, no 100% possum wool yarn because the fibers are too short. It's usually blended. Yeah. I think any spinner who has ever spun that would be like, Kara, you're crazy for spinning that by itself. And you know what? Maybe I am. So that was this week. Week 13. Had some weird ones. Lots of solid likes. No loves this week. One more week, and then it's time for the next project. Actually, no, sorry. First, it's time to get my notes together, which I might work on this week. Setting up my template and stuff, and then the next project. Thank you for hanging. I hope you learned something. I did. Thank you for hanging. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Happy crafting! Bye!